That's one of the fastest growing food movements, and now a new study shows that 1 in 5 of us in the UK would consider a vegan diet. There are now 500,000 vegans in the UK, and the diet has risen by 250% in the last decade. Well, as well as being cited for its health benefits, veganism is said to have positives on the planet. So should we all be going vegan? We can talk to a number of people who are here. You're all going to have to introduce yourselves to me because I haven't met you before. Tim Shieff is a professional English free runner. Yep. Hi, Tim. Good to meet you.
Thank you.
Sean and Jessica are a couple and became vegans just 2 weeks ago. Yep. I'm fascinated to know how that's going. Fresh indeed. Emily. Hi, Emily. Good to see you. Emily became vegan 7 months ago. OK, so Tim, let's start with you. Being a professional athlete and a vegan, some people may think that kind of doesn't go together naturally.
Yeah, I think the experience has changed all of that for me and for anyone that's looked into it. There's plenty of athletes all over the planet now going vegan for their health, to improve their skills, and they're seeing themselves go up in the rankings. And for me, the experience of it, I felt so much better within days. I felt a difference in me as an athlete. It was a test and it was a challenge because I thought maybe I will get worse. I didn't really know. I thought the protein myth and all this stuff. But actually the experience of it was, there was reward in my decision, and it's just gone from strength to strength from that.
How do, beautiful people. It is Tim here. I made the choice to go back to consuming animal products again. The last 3 years when my health has been in decline. Now, some of you may know some of the issues that I've talked about in the past already, which, digestion issues, but also fatigue, brain fog, depression, lack of recovery, lack of energy, yawning all the time, waking up stiff, really stiff in my joints, muscles becoming really fragile. I couldn't do push-ups without getting injured. I was going to yoga and getting injured. But overall, there was still a general slow decline. And when I actually consumed the animal products, my body appeared to feel something better. The first night after I had that salmon, I had a wet dream. I hadn't ejaculated in months. Just to be honest and open with everyone, that's turned something on within my body, which was interesting. And maybe take this as a lesson to not talk about things so certainly again in the future. I apologise to anyone that I've ever pushed my beliefs or judgments onto.
I have so much energy, I feel amazing, my mental clarity is awesome, and it all comes down to what I'm putting in my body and how much of it I'm putting in my body. Because that's something that a lot of people do actually struggle with when they're coming to a plant-based diet. They're not eating enough, so then they're not actually getting the benefits that others like myself experience. I never thought I would be filming this video. For the past month or so, I haven't been 100% true to you guys. So for around 3 years, I have been struggling with severe irritable bowel syndrome, as you guys know. And for the past year or so, I have been doing everything in my power to try and heal myself with a plant-based lifestyle. After numerous of times coming back and forth from my nutritionist, my doctors and everything, of me exhausted, just completely over it and just constantly in pain, me eating a plant-based lifestyle, it only made my irritable bowel syndrome worse. And it has just become so exhausting, and I'm drained. I've cried so many times. Now I'm trying to heal my body. I'm trying to gain my period back, but it was just not happening on a plant-based diet. And yes, I want to do what I can for the environment, for the animals, because they are equally as important. But there is a line where I do actually start to put my health first. So I've started to incorporate fish and eggs. I feel better, my stomach's finally healing, I'm not suffering with flares every single day. I finally stopped losing weight. I'm able to actually eat enough without being in pain.
I found my own way to educate people about veganism. It was very shocking for me in the beginning when I turned vegan to find out about all the cruel things that happen with animals, what happens to our food, and all the pollution in the world and the damage a lot of animal products and processed food does to our health. Afterwards, living a vegan lifestyle, eating great foods, the experience I had in my body was so positive and so amazing that I just wanted to scream it from the rooftops to everybody. And I was really wondering why people weren't eating that way, because I was feeling so much better than I used to be. I'm not vegan anymore, and I'm gonna tell you why. I went vegan because of health reasons. I felt better, I felt energetic. I remember I got really gassy. My farts stank so hard. So I had more anxiety than I ever had, especially in this first half of this year. I had more and more negative thinking patterns, which got deeper and deeper, and I got into them very easily. My skin progressively got worse. My hair kept thinning and not getting thicker. I thought my hair would grow thicker and more luscious after going vegan, but before I was vegan, my hair was thicker, my hair was better texture. My hair didn't split as much as it does now. I noticed, especially in this year, that my skin is getting drier and drier. As much as I was trying to eat my fruits because they're so healthy for you, I really did not like to eat them anymore. And I got cold hands and cold feet all the time, and a cold nose and cold lips. I was also being so judgmental in the beginning of my journey. I judged people for not eating in the same way that I did. Like, everything revolved around food. I also lost my period for 4 months, especially in this last year. Have constant bloat. My stomach just was protruding with gases, constantly burping, constantly farting. After every meal, I burped. It was so strange. My teeth were more sensitive, and I got joint aches in the last 6 months, and I felt it definitely when squatting and doing those things, because my poop on a vegan diet would be like
I feel so amazing about the fact that I'm not contributing to the cruelty in this world, and I just feel great about it. And I really hope that maybe you guys out there can look more into this lifestyle if you're not in it already, and educate yourselves, because I'm feeling absolutely fantastic and I've never felt better. And I really hope that maybe some of you out there can relate to this if you are vegan already, but it's been great. So in the last month, I started to incorporate some fish back into my diet, and from that, I have actually noticed the biggest difference in those health issues that I was dealing with. I just overall feel stronger and healthier in my body, and my digestion is a lot better. My skin is a lot, like, everything has gotten better.
So when I started the vegan lifestyle, I started because of health, because I saw all of these benefits by eating raw fruits and vegetables. And then I later learned about the ethical issues, how animals are treated not only for food, but for clothing, beauty products, all kinds of products, and for the environment and how it affects the environment. So in this channel, I like to be completely honest.
Llevo aquí más de un mes, pues no aquí, pero sí en Asia. Fue a Japón, fue a yo no sé dónde, mejor dicho, que envié de plan. Y pues buen provechito.
I'm really sorry about the way that the news were communicated to you. I was not planning on hiding this from you, and I learned that not having a period is really not healthy. All of my hormones were out of whack. Actually, they were premenopausal. This was all of 2016. At that time, I was feeling physically a little more tired. I was beginning to feel more tired. My energy levels were just not good. They were decreasing, which was kind of weird. Like, I would film a video and I would feel really tired after that. It was July of 2018 when 2 things happened to me. I got candida, vaginitis candida. So I got candida in my vagina. Around that time was when I was also starting to get some digestive issues.
And it wasn't until some very close friends of mine who had been vegan for over 8 years told me about their experience of incorporating animal protein back into their diet and how good they were feeling. So some of the symptoms that I was feeling before I went back to eating animal protein were just a lot of bloating, really bad bloating. Anything I ate would make me bloat. I eventually found out that I had SIBO. I also had iron deficiency almost a year, and it didn't matter how many iron supplements I took, I was deficient. So I was borderline, I was basically anemic. I also had some hormonal issues. I had irregular periods. And another thing, this is more aesthetic, is that my hair was so thin. My hair was falling out, it wasn't growing, and it's really sad because towards the end, I got to a point where I went to buy wigs. Seriously, I went to buy some wigs because my hair was so bad.
What I can tell you is that your body is only going to be thankful for it long term. Because we don't need animal products, you're not doing any harm by taking them out. You're only going to improve your health, and your body is only going to thank you for it. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. So here we are. Let's address the elephant in the room. I'm wearing a hair topper. Now, can you have hair thinning and loss on a vegan diet? Yes, of course you can. Hair thinning and loss can also happen due to a medical issue, or if you're not absorbing enough nutrients.
It just makes sense that we would abstain from eating animals. It just like logically makes so much sense because we can thrive on a plant-based diet. We don't need that in order to be healthy and strong and happy.
So I identify with the term gray asexual, which essentially means that I'm not a very sexual person.
So I really identified with gray asexual up until this past winter. This past January, I shifted my diet pretty massively. I was eating a vegan diet for 4.5 years, and I shifted from eating plant foods to pretty much all animal foods. So it was a massive change. And within a matter of days, I started to feel aroused. I started to feel like I had a sex drive. And not only that, like, I'm not talking like, oh my God, I'm so horny all of a sudden. I'm talking about like life force energy. Like, I felt like my body was coming back to life. I literally went from suffering to thriving. Brain fog, memory loss, inability to articulate myself and communicate properly. My brain was just like off. Like, it wasn't functioning properly. I didn't feel like myself. I still didn't feel like I could articulate myself and convey myself and like connect creatively, or like I just felt like my cognitive function was like lacking significantly. The best way I can describe it is that I felt like I had brain damage. Like, my brain just was not working, and I was just not in a good place. Like, obviously I was feeling like shit, so it only made sense that the blood work reflected that. But I was essentially low and deficient in almost everything. My hormones were out of balance, like way out of balance, and I had a high candida infection, like stupid high levels. I have a sex drive now. I literally have never had a sex drive in my life. And guys, my sex drive is unreal. And to me, that is an indicator that my hormones are not all over the place, but I actually have some sort of healthy hormone balance. And if we don't have our health, what the fuck do we have?
You know, what are some of the other big myths about the plant-based diet that aren't right, but they just seem to hang around?
I think still it's, you know, you can't really be optimally healthy on a plant-based diet. I guess it's one of the big myths out there, but I think people are starting to wake up slowly and to the notion that, you know, you can be optimally healthy on a plant-based diet. It's been, you know, different governments and organizations have come out and said that it's perfectly healthy.
But after a few years, that belief was challenged by many experiences that contradicted the belief that I had that the vegan diet was suitable for all stages of life, that the vegan diet is optimal for health. It started by, you know, seeing friends leaving the movement, saying that they had health issues, and then, you know, returning to eating animal foods and finding healing in that. But it wasn't enough until I had the experience with my own son, where I was seeing some red flags in terms of, you know, growth and these things, and dental issues that were really very, very serious and not supposed to happen, especially for someone who is not eating any sugar and processed foods and things like that. So the experience with my own son really got me to question everything. I stopped being vegan and I started introducing some mussels and shellfish and eggs to begin with, just very small stuff to experiment, and I saw immediate benefits. So I had cramping that had been going on for a year and a half, more or less, where it was so bad to the point where after I lifted weights, I couldn't even bend my elbow like this without getting a severe cramp on my forearms. And that was debilitating. I even dropped my kid once because I got a cramp like that in a vegan restaurant, ironically, but it was not a fun experience. So the cramps vanished after a week or two, and that hasn't happened before, even though I tried all the vegan solutions, all the supplementation, the potassium, the sodium, the electrolytes, upping my nutrient intake in many different ways. The other immediate change that I saw was my skin tone. I felt like my skin was getting thin. I can't really point my finger and use words to explain what I was seeing in my skin, but it was just off. And that really changed pretty quickly as well. I felt like my skin was filling out. I felt like I had perhaps more collagen or something. And that was, an immediate change as well. My digestion as well improved because I didn't really have great digestion as a vegan. I think as many vegans normalize bad digestion because you're so used to having this suboptimal bowel movement that you just kind of believe that that's the way to go. Like that is the natural human bowel movement to have. And, it really doesn't really make sense when you think objectively about it. So that really improved as well. So digestive health improved. And I would say the other thing that I really saw an improvement in, but a little bit later after I introduced red meat and wild game meat and fish and more protein, was that my joint pain went away. So I've been dealing with some severe joint pain that I really never experienced in my life. Never thought I was going to experience joint pain. It felt like arthritis in many different joints, my elbows, my wrists, my shoulders. I had a slipped disc, a year prior to that as well. And that became much, much better after I started eating animal protein.
I was around 11 years old, which was when my eating disorders developed.
I have anorexia now, I have an eating disorder.
Unhealthy eating patterns and habits that I had. I've been suicidal, I have been a self-harmer, I have had an eating disorder.
Binge eating disorder, which is something that I have had a version of in the past.
And I wanted to offer a different perspective on the topic by offering my experience of skinny shaming and how this led to my disordered eating.
I had episodes of binge eating a lot.
And you guys also know that I'm coming from an eating disordered background, a big history of calorie counting, restricting, and malnourishment from the vegan diet.
Do you have an eating disorder? Straight up.
Yeah.
They say vegans in general are prone to eating disorders, or they go to that because of that.
I think it gave me an eating disorder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.